What makes an experience an experience? When race days become race weekends, and race weekends become full-throttle memories.
To the checker, baby! Yeah, let's go!
So pull up in your camper, pick your favorite spot, first race or 50th season.
You did just win again. Oh my God!
A community that lives loud, loves hard, and celebrates every damn second.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you from Omaha, Nebraska. Alabama is playing in the College World Series for the first time since 1999. No longer is the World Series held at Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium, where Alabama had gone on its previous trips, but it is Alabama getting to play at Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, the home of the College World Series coming up this weekend. Had a great trip on Wednesday for the Crimson Tide, making it from Tuscaloosa to Omaha, and the Crimson Tide will be practicing this afternoon at Charles Schwab Field. We'll take a look at what's coming up on this very baseball-focused edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's see what's on the show this afternoon. Well, first of all, we hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Rob Vaughn, as he met with the media before the Crimson Tide loaded up the plane and headed from Tuscaloosa to Omaha. He takes a very quick look back at the Super Regional victory that Alabama had this past week against St. John's, but also really looks ahead to what's going to be most important for the Crimson Tide in Omaha in the College World Series. So comments from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Rob Vaughn. We'll check in quickly as well with David Kindred, our color analyst on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, getting his thoughts on Alabama getting ready for this run in the College World Series, and then we'll be hearing from David and myself with radio replay of the bottom of the ninth from this past Monday morning when Alabama was able to close out that Super Regional sweep of St. John's. Again, that's what's coming up on the show, and our headlines are also presented by RJ Young. For the baseball team, of course, last weekend winning the Super Regional, the first time the Crimson Tide have done that all the way back since 1999, sweeping St. John's. Dramatic Jason Torres home run, just some great moments all throughout that weekend for the Crimson Tide as Alabama got it done against the Johnnies. Now it's the Crimson Tide in the College World Series for the first time since 1999, and play for the Crimson Tide will start on Saturday as Alabama will be taking on a team they took 2 out of 3 against in the regular season, the Oklahoma Sooners. That starts at 2 o'clock. Our radio coverage will be coming your way at 1 p.m. 2 other notes around Crimson Tide athletics. Congratulations to Doris Limnole of Alabama Outdoor Track and Field. She has been named the SEC Women's Runner of the Year. Of course, Doris, one of the most decorated student athletes in Alabama history. Congratulations to her on earning those honors from the SEC as the national championship meets continue in Eugene, Oregon. Taking a look at the SEC ACC Challenge coming up in December for Alabama men's and women's basketball. We learned this week from the SEC office that the women's basketball team under Pauline Love will be hosting Georgia Tech. Meanwhile, the men's basketball team will be heading to Miami. So good news from both men's and women's basketball. Women hosting Georgia Tech, while the men's team will travel to Miami. That's a look at our headlines, thanks to our friends RJ Young. And now we'll visit with the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Rob Vaughn. Again, he met with the media before the Crimson Tide loaded the plane on Wednesday morning to head to Omaha, Nebraska. He answers questions about what just happened for the Crimson Tide in that Super Regional against St. John's, the celebration afterwards, and looks ahead to the College World Series.
Yeah, I mean, it means everything. You know, seeing the fans this weekend is really when it started. I mean, starting on Saturday night, the energy in the stadium, the way they would have, I mean, it was absolutely, they overwhelmed St. John's for us, and that's what we've been asking for. And man, what an incredible job for this fan base and this town to get behind those kids. So huge that it started there, and then man, just a lot of hard work goes into it from our coaching staff to these players. And I think the most rewarding part of that whole thing for me was seeing guys celebrate together at the end, you know, and whether it's your starting shortstop or whether it's your backup pitcher that never throw, like seeing those guys embracing and crying, and that moment those are the moments through all of this stuff that you just won't forget, and super rewarding that we have a chance to go be one of the final 8 teams playing. And so we said, man, we go this far, we might as well just keep winning.
Coach, what kind of confidence do you have for this group of guys to be the first to bring home a national championship from the back?
I think they're just battle-tested and tough, and this time of year, that's what it's all about. It's the makeup, it's the DNA, it's the what can you handle. And we talked about that back in, early March when we were kind of scuffling about if we handle this the right way, this can callous us and scar us over and make us tougher for April, May, and June, and that's what it's done. So I think this group is very confident. I think this group believes in each other. I think they understand what's sitting in front of them. And I think the exciting thing for me is I don't think they're approaching this like, hey, the job's finished. We did something that hadn't been done in 27 years. Job's done. I think this group isn't ready to stop playing together. So, man, we essentially have a regional set up here with 4 SEC teams and then a super behind it in the College World Series final. So I think more than anything, I think this group has the mentality and the makeup to weather everything they've done this year and come out the other side of it.
Coach, sometimes when you get to this point in the season, you're playing someone you don't know. But you already played Oklahoma a couple of times. Let's kind of talk about the Sooners in that matchup.
Really well coached. I think, obviously we played them in week 4 of the season. So I think we're both very, very different teams then. I think that was Eric Hines' really first weekend playing. That guy's been hitting the middle of our order since then and he's hit a lot of homers and dud stuff. My guess is they throw Cord Rager against us, who did not throw against us there. Superstar freshman was hurt when we were down there, so a different arm. So it's interesting. Dayton LaChance, the guy that's catching for him now, I think was DHing then, had no home runs, and now he has like 15 and catching every day. So I think both teams have evolved a lot since our time there, but there is a familiarity with style. There's a familiarity with some of the guys you're going to see out of the bullpen, some of the hitters. So all in all, I think it's crazy. You go all the way to Omaha to play 4 SEC teams on your side of the bracket, but I think it just speaks to the strength of this league. And there's 2 other SEC teams sitting at home right now that are darn good baseball teams that we at one point looked at this thing, could have had probably 7 of 8 SEC teams in this bracket. So strength speaks to the strength of the league. And like I said, there's familiarity, but there's a lot of differences. So we're excited to get out and get going against Oklahoma.
Coach, my last question for you. Now that you guys have made it to this point, what's been your message to the guys?
I think just stay where your feet are. I had a friend of mine that was at Wake Forest. He's the head coach at Duke now, and he called me last week, and that's what he said. He said, so many times you get to this point of the season and you never stop to smell the roses. And as a coach, it's what it is. You're always on to the next thing. You win, you're on to recruiting. You win, you're on to the next game, whatever it is. But he's like, just take a minute to just be present and to understand what you guys have accomplished and what you've done this far, and then move on to the task at hand. I got a voice text yesterday from Tony Vitello, who I know in our circles here is not a beloved figure, but is a friend of mine I've known for years. And he sent me a voice text before their game out in San Francisco yesterday, just giving me some advice on his first time there and what he felt and how he addressed it and how to keep the focus on the main thing, because there's a lot of things on the outside. There's a lot of media responsibilities. There's a lot of fans. There's a lot of things pulling at these kids' attention of not forgetting that we have a job to do and how to stay focused and not waste energy on other things. So really grateful that he took time to send me that. So, I think that's been our message is enjoy this, relish this, be present in this. But we're going to head to practice at Nebraska-Omaha a little bit later this afternoon, and we need to have a really good practice today. You're 5 wins away from being the first team in school history to ever do something. So, let's go be present. Let's go tack Saturday's game when we get there.
You mentioned ahead of Supers that ideal scenario is you pitch Tyler, you pitch Zane, and then Miles is ready for Omaha. Well, you got that ideal scenario. Have you thought about the pitching rotation yet?
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit. I think the beauty of Omaha is there's a lot of off days, particularly if you keep winning. So we know we'll play Saturday. We know we'll turn around and play Monday no matter what. But if you win, you keep getting off days in there. So we've kind of prepared all 3 of those guys to not be afraid to come out of the pen, that you might piggyback a game and we might do some things. I watched Eric Bakich in Michigan back in 2019 roll all the way to the finals with really 2 arms. They put their number 3 as their closer and rolled through to the College World Series final. We're a game away from national championship. So we haven't ironed out exactly how we're going to do it yet. That's something I'm sure JJ and me and Mo and Pap will sit down this week once we get there and iron it out. But all 3 of those guys are prepared to start on Saturday. All 3 of those guys are prepared to piggyback a game if they need to. So we'll kind of play that by ear on how we go.
What makes an experience an experience? When race days become race weekends and race weekends become full throttle memories.
To the checker, baby! Yeah, let's go!
So pull up in your camper, pick your favorite spot, first race or 50th season.
You did just win again. Oh my God!
A community that lives loud, loves hard, and celebrates every damn second.
We appreciate Alabama Athletics sending us that video of Rob Vaughn meeting with the media. And now we turn our attention to the World Series coming up this week in Omaha, Nebraska, with a visit with our color analyst, David Kindred. He and I are going to be teaming up on the radio for Alabama's hopefully very long run coming up here at the College World Series. And he breaks down what's ahead for Alabama, especially on Saturday when the Crimson Tide start its run against Oklahoma. David, can you believe it? We're here. Alabama gets to play in the College World Series this weekend.
Man, after that Super Regional at home, and just now getting here on the flight, seeing Charles Schwab from a distance, it's starting to sink in, and I think this roller coaster of postseason it's gone so fast and such a quick turnaround for some of it just to absorb for just us personally. We're not playing on the field, but for some of these guys, it's just moving so fast, but just an awesome time since we've gotten here.
Absolutely, and for the Crimson Tide, again, did well in the regional, dramatic game to close it out against Oklahoma State, and we felt pretty good going into that St. John's series, and you always feel good when Tyler Faye's on the mound. He set the tone. We saw some other timely hits get the win in Game 1.
It never gets boring hearing Tyler Faye, seeing on that scorecard when he's going to line it up on a Friday, and he's just done that and performed at such a high level. His maturity, you can just tell when he makes his start, goes consistently giving you 6 to 7 innings and setting the tone for the entire weekend. It's just phenomenal to see him walk out with a standing ovation in his last start at the Joe and go out in style. The way he commanded that game, I mean, I got goosebumps with that one. And then the fans who gave him that resounding standing ovation, man, that was just a great moment for Tyler Faye and this entire team.
Yeah, 7,573. That was a new record at Sewell Thomas Stadium. And just everywhere you looked, I mean, no green space at all we could see from our booth towards the right field Ragers. And they were loud from pitch number 1, it felt like, in that game.
Coach Rob Vaughn talked about, from the regional, talked about, hey, it was a great momentum builder and with the fans coming out, but he said, I want it packed out to the gills. And not only packed out to the gills, I want you to be active participants and very loud. And boy, did every one of those Alabama fans show up and showed out and were loud. And I think for Coach Rob Vaughn and for fans and for former players that have been a part of this stadium and seen it grow year after year and seen it from when it was rocking in 1999 when Alabama went to Omaha, and to see it like that Super Regional, that's kind of the expectation of how you want it to be SEC week in, week out. But yeah, I just thought that was phenomenal, and the fans got exactly what they wanted to see, going and punching their ticket to Omaha.
It was really incredible. Saturday, then into Sunday, delayed by an hour by rain at the start, but we finally got underway. Alabama builds up a 3-1 lead with Zane Adams on the mound. You're feeling pretty good, but then all of a sudden there's a home run for St. John's, and it became a tight 3-2 ball game going to the top of the 7th inning, and up to the plate, Jason Torres.
I have to take a second to think about, just put myself back in that moment, Roger, and just I think we had talked about that leading up to it was a 3-2 game, Alabama being the visiting team. And when they got the bases loaded before Jason Torres came up, I told you, I said, this is kind of the tipping point of this game. Assuming Jason Torres didn't do what he did, and you just felt like that momentum would have shifted the opposite way. But what an at bat, what a swing by Jason Torres, just getting to sit kind of next to you and hear your home run call. And literally, I'm sitting there just speechless. There's just no words that were necessary, because in my personal opinion, that was the biggest home run in the new Joe, for at least that purposes. I think there's no questions. I've seen a lot of them, but the one that Jason Torres hit, that grand slam, and just to see the eruption was real. And see those fans just clamoring over each other, and man, it was a special moment for, I know, Jason Torres, that team, and everybody that was inside the stadium.
Yeah, 7-2 at that point. People have asked about the call, our reaction to it. I said, well, you've seen our reaction to the home run. You didn't see the John Lim at bat right afterwards, where we're just like, there's a ball. Did that really just happen? Here's ball 2. It was just such a stunning moment, and unfortunately, all that great momentum comes to a screeching halt top of the 8th inning due to first lightning delays, and then the clock resets every 30 minutes. That led to over 5 hours hoping to play baseball. An unfortunate wait as a lot of fans tried to stick around as long as they could.
You felt like that the place was on fire in a great way. Let's say that. The energy was the juice was just, everything was lining up for, oh man, here we go, getting to that momentum. And then, you can't stop Mother Nature sometimes, but I'll tell you what, the resoundness of this team all throughout the year, of the ups and downs, and talk about staying present in the moment, but understand some of those things that happen in baseball. You get delayed. There's nothing you can do about it. Everybody was frustrated, and the fans we talked about it that night and the next day. It just, the fans that stayed there the entire time. There were whoever's listening to us, there might have been in the right field ragers that stayed all the way till 10 o'clock. I commend you. There's about 100 people out there that stayed throughout the entirety, fans hanging out, just waiting for it because you felt like you wanted to witness history. But did not happen for us on Sunday night. But we knew with Alabama's momentum, it was a good chance the next day.
Well, and momentum as well with Matthew Heiberger. Only throws 3 pitches to get out of the previous jam he had before. And no surprise, he comes back out there, looked rock solid when Alabama needed him most, and shut down the door in the 8th, yes, but he was the guy that Alabama trusted in the 9th as well.
Matthew Heiberger, again, continuing to pitch better, the command of his fastball, and just seeing the best players playing their best baseball late in postseason. We talked about the reset of postseason play for a lot of different players. I think it's been great for guys like Justin LeBron, and some of these bullpen guys. And some guys have not seen a lot of action in getting their names called sometimes, and some of them did not. But it's just, those were the really cool moments on Monday that you could see a lot of hard work that went into this for these players to be able to enjoy this because of postseason play. You put your stats aside, you put whatever post-season, after the season stuff is going on. It's just really cool moment for Alabama.
And coming up here on the show, we're going to have the radio replay of the bottom of the 9th inning and the celebration right afterwards. But just take me through your mind. Bryce Fowler makes that sliding catch and the dog pile begins. Your reaction when you got to something you knew was probably going to happen. Alabama up 7-2 overnight. But once it happened, getting to see the realization of that dream, how special was it?
And I think that your moment of busting down the gates to get to Omaha, you took that from Coach Rob Vaughn's interview, and I think that that's what's called, it's vision. I mean, he's got a clear vision, and had it been exactly what he wanted to the first 2 postseasons, no. Going into that postseason, Rob Vaughn had not had a win, but then to see the way they've gone through this flawless at this point, winning, and to see Bryce Fowler catch that ball was just kind of all that vision put together. As a former player, you see that link of it all coming together. It didn't happen for certain guys. So many guys from 1999 and up until that point, you saw guys that were emotional. I was emotional. Yeah. And to see a lot of people that have poured into this program, poured into these players, and I say players collectively, student athletes for so many years, to see those guys do it, you felt like you had a piece of that. But again, back to Rob Vaughn and players just playing their best baseball at the right time, and you sure hope now that we're here in Omaha, they continue that.
And those players, we wrapped up on the radio as quickly as we could, went down the field. I got to get our hugs and celebrations with all the players, take a picture of the trophy, do all that good stuff. But you saw that appreciation from the coaching staff and the players with guys like you that previously wore the uniform, our buddy Chris Stewart, who called games for so many years. This meant so much to so many people.
I don't know about you, but when I got down, you're acting like little kids out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Christmas Day. You're opening your presents, and it was one of those fun moments where you're looking around just ready to hug people. People are crying in excitement. And
people you had just seen 15 minutes before. Yeah. It's brand new.
Yeah, and some people, like, you've never seen them have those type of emotions before, in a great way, because they knew that this doesn't, again, hear me out. I hope this happens on an annual basis. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't always happen like this. Again, Alabama's felt that drought for 27 years. And to see these guys do it, and just I got emotional when Jake Smith was out there. For all those Alabama fans, know what Jake Smith meant to this program. And to see him and take a picture with him and his son, again, you felt like you had a piece of that. But Coach Rob Vaughn, again, said he wanted to enjoy this moment and actively absorb what happened, but understand this isn't the finish. As happy as we are to be here, there's still more work to be done here in Omaha.
Work to be done, and it's with people we kind of know pretty well. Texas, Georgia, of course, on the other side of this bracket, along with Alabama's first-round opponent in the Oklahoma Sooners. Alabama took 2 out of 3 against them back in April. Do you take much from that at this point of the season? Because both teams have kind of changed in dramatic ways, and both are clearly on a roll coming into Omaha.
That's a good point, and I think at this point, you may see some familiar faces, but every one of these teams are riding a heater. They're all good at this point. There's no teams limping into Omaha, right?
It doesn't happen. Yeah.
they're not, nobody's limping in. And the thing for me that I think the reason that Coach Rob Vaughn and I think all of us as staff wanted to get out here early was, think about this for a second. In postseason play, Alabama really, if you consider going to Hoover, Alabama, a long way away, I mean 30 minutes down the road, Alabama hasn't really gone on the road in postseason. Hey, they've earned it, and we want to be at the house, but it's one of these things. Traveling has been a while for Alabama, and for him to get out here, take in the moment and absorb and understand what you've just accomplished, but then, to reset and now get ready to get back into game mode. And now you got to face, you talked about it. You got to face Oklahoma, and you're going to have to play another SEC team to get there. And if you continue on, there's another SEC team on the other side in Ole Miss. So it's I wouldn't say it's an uphill battle. I think both teams understand each other. Alabama's obviously took 2 or 3 on the road with Oklahoma, but I think other than understanding the players that are there, I don't know if you glean too much off of those games that happened maybe back 6-8 weeks ago.
And for Alabama getting ready for this tournament as well, there are a lot of comparisons between Charles Schwab Field and the Hoover Met, and the conditions being a little more pitcher friendly. We're going to get our first eyes on it by the time this is released on Thursday afternoon. But how do you feel about Alabama kind of playing in a ballpark like this, not just at the plate, but also on the mound, especially with what Tyler Fay can do?
Well, pitching always travels in Charles Schwab Field, and there's no doubt about that. And we've talked about this all throughout the year. Alabama knows who they are. And I think Coach Rob says, we know who we are. We know individually who we are. It's Tyler Fay, Zane Adams, Miles Upchurch. Now, I don't know. We don't even know yet how it's all going to play out. It's unique. This is a double elimination tournament. You don't know win or lose, how you do it, but I promise you those guys are going to be in the mix. And the way that they pound the zone with strikes down in the zone, and you want to have your most athletic defense available, especially in the outfield, big gaps. In teams that, let's just, look ahead in a team like Georgia. Don't get me wrong. They deserve all the credit with a lot of home runs and offense, but they're playing it's going to be a different park. It's a different atmosphere. The ball it's not going to travel like it does at Foley Field.
Yeah. Where they've been all postseason.
Or in postseason. Yeah, and that's not that. But I think for Alabama, it's good because the pitching doesn't change. The dimensions do change for everybody else. But I think for Alabama, the way they've continued to swing the bat, and I think you have to throw out the regular season average, the regular season where they stacked up against the SEC. All that matters is how they've been playing in postseason and the confidence these guys have now. So I think that's what's the most important thing, and I feel really good about Alabama's chances, especially on the mound.
Well, it's going to be exciting. Alabama in the College World Series, first time since 1999. We're going to have full radio coverage available for you on the network. David, great job. Thanks, and welcome back to Crimson Drive. Roll Tide.
Enjoying this moment in Omaha with you, and hopefully we stick around for a little bit.
That's the plan. Hopefully we'll be back next week for another edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Roger.
And now we take you back to David and I's call of the 9th inning, the bottom of the 9th, that Alabama picked up the win against St. John's in Game 2 of the Super Regional. And as we kind of took in the post-game celebration for the Crimson Tide, winning that Super Regional and getting that thrilling berth in the College World Series, here's our radio replay from Monday morning. Game 2 of the Tuscaloosa Super Regional. Started on a Sunday, will end on this Monday. We hope will end right here in the bottom of the 9th. Alabama with a 7-2 lead against St. John's. Still Matthew Heiberger on the mound. And so many Crimson Tide fans here this weekend getting to celebrate this unique baseball team that has an opportunity to break a 27-year drought between trips to Omaha.
Crimson Tide have been to Omaha, played in the College World Series 5 times, but it hasn't been since 1999. Alabama's had a chance to go back to Omaha. It's even a different stadium. No more Rosenblatt Stadium, now Charles Schwab Field, a beautiful facility in downtown Omaha. Crimson Tide 3 outs away from getting there. Here's Aiden Fry to the plate. First pitch is swung on. A little pop-up right to the shortstop. LeBron 2 steps to his right. He's got it. There's 1 gone. But just think about the time in between 1999 and where we are now. So many great players, so many great coaches, so many great moments that have shaped fandom for so many people, whether you're Sten Tuscaloosa, student at the university, now an alum, bringing your own kids to the ball game. Alabama baseball is special. Here's the first pitch. Bernardini takes a strike. And a moment like this, David, is for everybody that has been affiliated with this program through the years.
No doubt. I was an 11-year-old kid. My dad brought me out to that game in 1999 to see him punch the ticket.
0-1. Swing, and that's chopped foul. 0-2 on Bernardini.
And that feeling that put me on fire is like, I want to be here. This is what I want to do. And that's what a lot of these moments for these kids and all these loud fans that have decided to come back on a Monday starting at 11 o'clock to witness some history.
Heiberger's 0-2. Fastball called, third strike. 2 gone in the 9th. Matthew Heiberger strikes out Bernardini. Fans getting on their feet for the final out. Rob Mansour will be the last man to the plate for St. John's, trying to continue this game. 7-2, bottom of the 9th. He will face the left-hander Matthew Heiberger. Heiberger, first pitch. Runs inside, missing for a ball. The fans standing all around Sewell Thomas Stadium. The dugout for the Crimson Tide, third base side, ready to burst out onto the field, dogpile, and celebrate a trip to Omaha. 1-0. Swung on, a fly ball going into right center field. Bryce Fowler on the run, tracks it down, goes into a slide, makes the catch for the out. It was worth the wait. Alabama will play in the College World Series. The Crimson Tide knocked down the gates to Omaha. And in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, there's a dog pile at Sewell Thomas Stadium. The Crimson Tide have done it, going back to the World Series for the first time since 1999.
Wow.
Yay, Alabama, followed by Dixieland Delight. And here come the Crimson Tide to salute the right field Ragers. A run that will carry this team all the way later in the week to Omaha, Nebraska. Like we saw in the sweep against Auburn, the Crimson Tide jumping the right field fence. They will celebrate with the right field Ragers. Incredible scene here in Tuscaloosa.
It's just a really remarkable moment. And it's just somebody that's played here, coached here, and to see the fans come out today and what it means to a ton of alumni that decided to come out for this entire regional, super regional, and for these guys to punch the ticket for themselves of what they've accomplished, what Rob Vaughn has accomplished with his staff, to do it for these fans, do it for all those listening out there. You've really made some proud alumni, a lot of coaches that have come before them. You can take it in and appreciate it, because that's what Rob Vaughn's talked about, carrying the load to get over the hump for this Alabama Crimson Tide that has a lot of proud history, but it had been a very, very long time, and I'm telling you what, I couldn't be more proud of these guys today. Wow.
Coaching staff, Rob Vaughn, huge embrace with the Director of Athletics, Greg Byrne, who brought him here 3 years ago. 2023, Jason Jackson, part of that staff, did such a marvelous job helping Alabama win a regional, finish that 2023 season the right way. Coach Jackson staying loyal to this program, staying on staff, and now he's going to have his pitchers ready to toe the rubber in Omaha, Nebraska. Let's listen in for another moment. Rob Vaughn with a backwards cap on that will say College World Series. Wow. He will greet his team as the celebration is going to continue in Tuscaloosa. 7-2 the final score. Alabama defeats St. John's, sweeps the Tuscaloosa Super Regional. We'll step aside, be back with the Bama Baseball postgame show in a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Now it's time to take a look at what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Guess what? It's all baseball ahead for us here on the network as Alabama plays in the College World Series. Again, our radio coverage on Saturday will start at 1:45 for Alabama against Oklahoma, and then we know the Crimson Tide will not play on Sunday as the other side of the bracket will play, but the Crimson Tide will either be in a winner's bracket matchup or a loser's bracket matchup coming up on Monday. More days off after that if Alabama continues to advance, and the whole goal is getting to the weekend and, of course, the championship series of the College World Series. So make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. You won't miss anything coming up from us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's going to do it for this very Omaha edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover saying thank you to our guest, Rob Vaughn, at the top of the show, plus David Kindred. Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back with this show, hopefully again next week from Omaha as Alabama continues its run at the College World Series. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. Roll Tide.